Hi, I'm Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, and today we are going to revisit this Penn 100 fishing reel. In my last video that I did about this, I had condemned this into becoming a parts reel, but I just don't have it in my heart to scrap a reel that I know I can put back together. So what I did, here's the things that were wrong with it. First off, the chrome is all eat up, and I can live with that. Bad chrome, that's okay. We can live with that. It's not real pretty, but it's functional, so I'm okay with that. The next thing is the side plate seemed to be a little hollowed out here, but what I come to find out that it wasn't so much the side plate as it was the eccentric that goes in the side plate was worn out. And so I ordered a new eccentric for it. And the new eccentric fits much tighter than the old eccentric. It's still not perfect. There is a little bit of wear in the side plate, but nowhere near as much as there was with the old eccentric. So got that taken care of. We got a new eccentric for it. Next was this eared washer, which somebody had put inside the gear here without getting it into these notches. And what they did is they managed to shear off this ear on this side, and this one over here they bent it over to where it isn't very functional. So I needed to order a new one of these washers, and there is the new washer. So we have a new eccentric, new washer. We have new drag washers ordered that I've got for it, and I think we're going to see if we can get this reel back together and operating today. So we're going to start off by reassembling the frame, and notice it's got some corrosion in there. I've cleaned it all up and smoothed it, but you're never going to get that chrome back. That's just the way it is. So we're going to go ahead and reassemble the side plate back onto it. Before you install this side plate, go ahead and line up your holes and your chrome trim piece, which there's not much chrome left to it, but go ahead and line it up. Line the holes up so the screws will go in nicely. Put your side plate on with your short screws here at the bottom on the reel seat. The reason the short screws go there is to keep them from sticking out into the area where the string is, or the line, fishing line. Make sure to get all of the screws started prior to tightening them. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and build up your gear plate assembly. We're going to reinstall the gear sleeve. Hang on, let me make sure I wiped it out inside. I don't think I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. We're going to put a little bit of grease on the post. Slide the gear sleeve over. Now we're going to come back and put the pin in. One end of this pin, I believe, is just a little bit fatter than the other side. So if it doesn't go in one way, flip it over and try it the other way. There we go. Make sure the pin goes all the way in, because if it's sticking out even just a little bit, it's going to interfere with your gear. There. Now we're ready to slide the gear on. Oh, hang on. It's time to install the base washer, which is a phenolic washer. It goes underneath the gear, like so. Then goes your gear. Remember Remember that pin I told you about? If it's even just a little bit, it's going to interfere. Yeah. There. Just didn't want to slide on. Okay, gear's on. Now the first thing it's going to go on, once the gear is installed, it's going to be one of your 3 drag washers. We're going to lubricate them with some drag washer grease. Slide it on. Next goes one of your keyed washers. It's got the oblong hole in the middle that fits down over the shaft. Next, we're going to install another drag washer. Rub it in. Make sure it's lubricated properly. Slide that washer down. Now comes your eared washers. This is the new one that I just bought. It slides down and make sure that those ears go down inside the gear. That's what caused the other one to fail, is it didn't go down inside those slots. It's your next drag washer. And rub the grease in. There we go. And your final keyed washer. After that, we can come back, add a little grease to the top, and install your tension washer, and then add just a little bit more grease and install this sleeve. That'll keep that sleeve from falling off when you turn this upside down to install it. Alright, like so. Okay, out there. That's not going to fall off now. That's done. Now it's time to reinstall our eccentric into this side plate. I'll put a little bit of grease in the hole, which should help keep this eccentric from wearing out the hole. It has a spring in it. The spring, the hook upward portion, hooks into the bottom of the eccentric right here. Then that end of the spring is going to go into this notch right here, like so. With that in place, gently, so that you don't tear up the brass, gently rotate the eccentric around until you find the balance point, where you'll find a place where it will just go past, like it. Okay, that grease is gonna okay. With it in that position, you should now be able to take your arm on the other side and get it to go on, which it didn't want to, so let's flip it upside down and then pull the eccentric over. Okay, once you find your balance point, you can use that arm to adjust that. Just make sure you've got it all the way down on there, or you'll tear it up like this one was done. All right, find your balance point. Once you've got it, flip your arm over and get it back on there, like so. All right, once it's tightened down, now your arm is over here and it's not sticking out in the way. Now so you'll see just a little bit of wear right here. See how this arm sticks out just a little bit? On this side, it fits all the way down. That's because there's a little bit of wear on that faceplate, but not enough to compromise the operation of the reel. So we decided to go ahead and not replace a $20 faceplate, but go ahead and just get it up and running just the way it was. And we'll use it. It can fish for many, many, many years, just like that. Next, we're going to install these two springs. These are your yoke springs. One on this hole and one in this hole. With those in place, we'll take our yoke assembly. We'll put some grease in the middle of the yoke. And this one I had to actually file the yoke just a little bit because it had some extreme wear on it, which I've never seen before from this thing running dry. Now we're going to grease up the pinion gear. And this is one we want to have plenty of grease on. We don't want it where it's all just going to squish out, but we want to make sure that the entire pinion gear is properly greased. Like that. And now we can take and install this on the yoke. Like that. And in just a second we're going to set it inside this. But first we need to move this eccentric into the correct configuration. Okay, it's got this throw and it's got this throw over here. We want it to be in that upper throw like that. That's the direction we want it to be. Now we can put the yoke in, compress the springs down inside there, and it's time to put the jack plate in. This jack plate will fit right there. And there you have it. Now, for those of you who saw the earlier video, this spring right here I took out of a Penn 109 that I had for spare parts, and it really isn't the right one. So when I was ordering parts for the other $3 that it was going to cost me, I decided to go with this spring, and if you notice, it's much bigger. So it's going to supply a whole lot more tension against this anti-reverse dog. So don't pick it up by that collar. Alright, now we're going to turn this upside down and slip it in like so. Okay, then we're going to start to rotate it around, and we're going to pause it right there in this position because we have to install the anti-reverse dog right here. Now the straight edge, this is your pawl. See the straight edge across the top right here? That's the side that faces up towards the eccentric. We're going to slip that in. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's try again. This screw first goes in. Slipping there, guys. Alright. Then your anti-reverse dog goes in like so. And it's going to come around and it's going to impact over here on the ratchet. Next, what has to happen is this spring has to fit in here. It's going to fit along this side right here and go around that pin and push down on the anti-reverse dog. And so we'll have to bend it because it's never been installed before. This is a brand new one. And I've never had the opportunity to install a brand new one before, so this is kind of fun. And I just shot it. There we go, it didn't go far. Thank you. Alright, let's try it again. Slide it over. And come on. I hope you're able to see this, because I can barely see it. Okay, I keep getting it too far in there. These big fingers of mine. Okay, let's try it again with hemostats. There we go. See how the spring goes in there? That wraps around, and that way when this rotates, Well, you're not going to be able to see it very well because I can't hold it. And okay, we'll go ahead and rotate it around, get the screw set in the hole. With that set in the hole, we'll go ahead and start it, the screw. Okay, now, and you're not going to be able to see it, but we can see that it's working. And we'll only turn one direction. And that reverse dog is catching. All right, let's go ahead and put the other 3 screws in. This one went here. Now, so we're going to go up here to this one. This one doesn't have threads on the upper portion of it. That's because it's going up here where the spring is. Remember those 2 springs we just put in? Well, this screw goes through that spring. And that spring would catch on those threads if we left the threads in there. All right, now we're going to go do the same thing on the other side of the top. Again, that's going through the opposite spring on the other side of the reel. Don't tighten them all the way down. And now the last one, the all threaded one, goes in the bottom. Once you've got them all started, then you can go ahead and snug them all up. And there we have it. All right, and this eccentric then works. Okay, now we're going to need to add some grease here to this eccentric because it's running dry. So we'll put some grease here, put some grease here, right here on this post because this has got a slide right there, and then it's got a slide over here on the eccentric as well, in and out. So there we go. We'll add a little more grease on this side of the eccentric to make sure everything is properly lubricated. Back again. Okay, now I do this every time, and I'd like to tell you I don't, but I do. I always forget to grease the teeth on this gear. I've greased everything inside it, but I forget to grease the teeth on the gear. But it's easy enough to come back and put that grease in there along that slot, rotate it around, put some more grease along that slot. And we're almost all the way around with grease. This is the last of it. Okay, wipe off the excess. Now it's properly lubricated. Now flip the jack. When we flip the jack, the pinion gear should drop back down inside there where it's impacting. There we go. Now that's always going to be impacting the gear. It's never going to separate from the gear. What it does do though, see this slotted end here? When it drops back away, it separates from the spool right here. All right, this is nice and clean. We are going to put some grease on the clicker ratchet. And we're going to put some oil on the shaft of the spool. We're going to drop the spool back down inside. There we go. Now we're going to come back and put some grease on this spool. This is where the pinion gear fits, is right up against there. That's where it's just going to drop into. So we're going to put that in there. We're going to add a few more drops of oil down through the pinion gear. We're going to put some drops of oil on the shaft of the spool. Slip this back on. Let's see which way it goes. Let's see, like this. Okay. You've got these teeth on here that are going to align. You've got 3 of them. Let me pull this back off and show you. Get this back in, installed again. Once I pull it back out. All right. If you notice, there's these little stumps right here, little studs. There's 3 of them. And they're going to fit into these 3 notches around the reel. Once they're in place and you rotate it around, this screw is going to screw into that hole right there. So that helps you align, tell you where to set these up. All right, set it around, set it in place. Rotate it, then this screw screws back down, and that locks this side plate on. All right, now remember that collar's already there. Got a little bit of dirt up inside here that I must have missed. All right, we're going to put a little bit of grease right there where that rides against that collar. And now let's see if we can get that to screw back on straight. There we go. That's in place. As with everything else on this reel, this handle's kind of eat up as well. As far as the chrome goes, it's not real pretty. Go ahead and set your handle in place. Take your screw. Get it started. Tighten it down. Now, if you want, what you can do, just before you tighten this down, install this, you can go ahead and put a few more drops of oil down through there. Just add one little bit more lubricant into that drag washer sleeve. Tighten the nut down. Use your proprietary wrench to tighten it the rest of the way. It's got a little bit more it's got to go. Okay, that looks like that lined up. Put just a tab of grease on the screwdriver. Line the screw. Yep, that still didn't hold even with that. There we go. Wipe that off. And oh yeah. Okay, it's a little loose on the spool, so let's tighten it down a little bit. That's good. And there you have a Penn 100. It's an ugly reel, it really is, but there is absolutely nothing about this reel that would keep it from fishing. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to take this one down to the coast one day and give it a run for its money. I like the idea that it was going to be a parts reel, and instead it's ready to go fishing again. So there you have the Penn 100. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button and tell me why, if you would, please. And I actually got a dislike this morning. It wasn't actually a dislike, it was just a complaint that I didn't understand my reel properly. And hey, I admit that, folks. I am not an expert on any of these reels. I am doing this to try to figure things out, try to share what little bit I know, and learning things as we go. If anybody has any suggestions, ideas, hey, I'm open to them, all of them. I am more than happy to pick up and learn new things. If you want to see more videos like this and would like to subscribe, please do. If you'd like to get notifications that I have posted new videos, go ahead and hit the little bell beside the subscribe button, and it'll tell you every time I send one of these out. But for now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels, and signing out.